Namaskar to all of you, and my gratitude for inviting me uh, to deliver this lecture on Yaksha Prashna. So, once again, thank you. Hello, my yoga team, and all the participants here. So, with deep sense of gratitude to our Rishi Parampara, so I will try my best to explain the mysterious questions and answers asked by Yaksha and answers provided by Yudhisthira. Now, we all know that this grand epic Mahabharata, we call it epic for convenience, but the English word epic truly doesn't depict the grandeur, profundity, and the real image of Mahabharata, which is, in a true sense, itihasa. And this itihasa, we have Ramayana and we have Mahabharata. If Ramayana is considered to be the heart of Bharat, heart of this land, Mahabharata is the brain of this land. And you can see it clearly, the simplicity of Valmiki, the heart of Valmiki, as if he speaks everyone's heart. And in the Mahabharata, we find all kinds of complexities, complications, dilemmas, and very metaphorical questions and answers, enigmatic. When one goes through the Yaksha Prashna, the kind of questions, the type of questions which are asked, they look like as if what Vyasadeva had told Ganesha, that never proceed with your writing without understanding the content. And this is where he created 8,800 Kuta Shlokas. So sometimes one feels as if these Kuta Shlokas are a part of this Yaksha Prashna. Extremely difficult questions to be answered. And the way it is answered also, though it looks simple, in a single word, Yudhisthira gives answer to it. Yet, each question and each answer, one can write a book on it. There's so much of depth in every question and every answer. How did it begin? A very dramatic beginning of Yaksha Prashna. Just a day before the Ajnatavasa, 12 years are completed, the last day of the 12th year. Next day, it is going to be the Ajnatavasa. And there is a flashback. All the 5 brothers are sitting, and each one is giving expression to what's happening in their mind. Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula, Sahadeva. Yudhishthira is all silent, all quiet. He doesn't say anything because he is sthir. That's why his name is Yudhisthira. And the Yuddha doesn't happen only in the battlefield. Yuddha is something which is constant. If people feel that fight and battle, they are all negative things and they are all hinsa, must remember that, like no one can ever get rid of the battle. The fight is constant. Look at how our cells are fighting, the immunity cells and the cancer cells. There's a constant battle going on. And depending upon who wins, one is healthy or one is unhealthy. One cannot get rid of the fight. So this very life itself is Yuddha Kshetra, the Kurukshetra. The life in action is the Kurukshetra. That's where the Gita begins, Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. And in this Kurukshetra, the dharma has to be at the center. Dharma Devata is putting a question like, look, the Yudhisthira and the Yaksha Samvada, where Dharma Baka is raising questions and the answers are given by Dharmaraja himself, who was always in Dharma, never deviated from the path of Dharma. That's what again Yudhisthira says, that Dharma Rakshati Rakshita, that I never deviate from the path of the Dharmaraja. Dharma asking the question to Dharma. And there is a solution to Dharma. All questions related to Dharma. That's the beauty of Yaksha Prashna. Now what happens, this dramatic beginning, that all the five brothers are sitting, suddenly a Brahmin comes and says that, like my Aranis, you understand those, uh, sticks by which the fire is generated. He said, my Aranis and my kneading rod, they were hanging here, and a deer, while rubbing against the tree, so the Aranis got stuck with the horns, and then it has carried my Aranis, and without it I cannot perform my rituals, my Agnihotra. So please help me getting back my Aranis. Now all the Pandavas, they are after the deer. They see the deer, they throw their arrows, but not a single arrow reaches the deer, the mysterious deer. Now you can see the same thing, Valmiki also using a deer to drag away Rama, the Swarnamruga. And here in the Mahabharata also you see all the Pandavas are dragged away by this Mruga, mysterious Mruga. And then finally we will understand who sent this Mruga and who was this Mruga. Now here, so they became tired. They couldn't catch. They couldn't reach the deer. Very much tired, hungry, thirsty, completely exhausted. And please remember, this is the last day of the 12th year. And from tomorrow, the Agyatavasa. Again, the tension is that if someone recognizes them during the Agyatavasa, again, the cycle has to begin, 12 years, plus one more year. So how does one spend the day in this situation? The Yudhisthira has to be sthir, has to pacify the rest of his brothers who are restless. So this being the condition, they were exhausted, they were hungry, they were thirsty. And Yudhishthira asked Nakula, can you find out if there is possibility of a lake or water resources here? So Nakula climbs up the banyan tree under which they were resting. And then he describes that, okay, nearby there is a lake where I can see the trees the surrounding trees. I can see the birds flying. So he gets down, and then he was sent by Yudhishthira to fetch water. So Yudhishthira said that go and then use your tunira. Tunira means where they keep the arrow, the quiver. He said fill the quiver and then get the water. Now he goes to the lake, and then he hears a mysterious voice, not knowing who is speaking, but it's a voice coming from somewhere, and then saying that Sahasam Makuru, don't dare to drink, because this property, this lake, it belongs to me. Without my permission, no one can drink the water. And he doesn't heed to the words of that mysterious voice. And then he falls dead. Seeing him not coming, then Yudhishthira sends rest of the brothers, Sahadeva, Arjuna, Bhima, one after another, and none of them comes back. And finally Yudhishthira goes. And then when he was able to, he was attempting to enter to the pond and drink water, again hears the voice that, look, this is my property, and look at all your brothers. First, Yudhisthira was shocked. Who killed my brothers? Who killed my brothers? Because brothers are so important to him, and somewhere he describes that they are like, Vindhya, Malaya, Himalaya. So all the giant brothers who are invincible are falling dead in front of me, and there is no sign and symptom of any bana, any weapon. There is, even he wanted to check whether this water is poisonous. That's how he went to check, and then he heard the voice that don't try to touch the water. First answer my questions. And this is the biggest test for Yudhisthira. If Dharmaraja, the name has to be justified. So how much of the dharma he is living? This is Yaksha Prashna is a test to Yudhisthira. And then, most interestingly, there are hundreds of questions, though people say there are 33 or 34 questions, but around above 120 questions, a question within question. In a single verse contains sometimes 3 questions, sometimes 4 questions, sometimes 1 question. So like this, above 100 questions are raised to Yudhisthira, like Prashnottara Malika. It's a series of Prashna and then series of answers from Yudhisthira. I will start, from the end, the last question, maybe towards the end. Not exactly last, but one feels this is where it is ending. But then there are 1 or 2 more questions to be answered. Like when we meet each other, the first thing we ask, hey, how are you? What's the news? What's up? Kavarta. Can you imagine? This is the last question in Yaksha Prashna. Yaksha asks Yudhisthira, what's the news? Kavarta. Or somewhere you'll find Kavartika. Vartika, Varta, the same word. How does one answer to this question? What's the news? And we do answer something like when we are asked, what's the news? What's up? How are you? How do you do? Is all well? And look at the most cryptic answer given by Yudhishthira. And from here we will move, back and forth to see some of the important questions and what relevance they have to us today. Now the question is Kavarta. What's the news? Yudhishthira gives an answer to this question in a manner where he's referring to the many experiences of each one of us, each living being, what we experience in the world, our pain and pleasure, our happiness and unhappiness, everything that happens to our life. Either we say, okay, I'm happy, I'm doing well, or not so good. It's all connected with what we experience in this world. And what's the answer to it? So the answer, he says that, look, the news is this whole world is a cauldron, is a pan, a cooking pan. So he says, Asmin Maha Moha Maye Katahe. The news is that this world is a kataha, a cauldron, a cooking pan. Surya Gnina Ratre Divendhanena. And in this kataha, Surya is the Agni, the fire. Sun is the fire. The sun is the source of all energy. Without sun, no world, no action. Nothing can happen without sun. So sun is the fire, the ignition. Days and nights are the fuel. Ratrin diva indhanena. Then he says the masa ritu darvi vighattanena or parighattanena. So he said darvi means a ladle by which one stirs whatever is there in the pan. He says masa, the months and the seasons, they play the role of a darvi, a ladle by which the stirring happens. And what is there in that cauldron? Just imagine maybe like some cooking is happening, but what is being cooked? He says, Bhutani, all beings are put into that cauldron. I, you, everyone is there in that cauldron. We are being cooked. But who cooks? Who is the cook? Just imagine what answer is Yudhisthira giving. Who is the cook? He said, the time spirit, the Kala. Kala pachati iti varta. The time spirit, we all are cooked by the time. Time is the cook. No one has any control over the Kala, the Mahakala. Everyone is a food of the Mahakala. And all our experiences, everything that happens to us, our joys, our unhappiness, everything that we experience here by being in that cauldron, by being cooked in that kataha. This is the news. This is the last question and last answer, but I began with this just to give you a feel of the profundity, the grandeur of the questions, and the seriousness of the answers given by Yudhisthira. Then when we turn to the first question, where he asks, the question he says that who makes the sun rise, who makes it set, who makes the sun rise and who makes it set. So the question, I'll read out the original verse. Um, just few seconds. I'll just open the file. So he says, Kim Svit Adityam Unnayati Kecha Tasya Abhitaschara Kaschainam Astam Nayati Kasmingscha Pratitishthati. This is the original verse, original question. If we translate it, it goes like this. That Yaksha asks him, what makes the sun rise? Who makes the sun rise? And who keeps him in company? And what makes the sun set? And in whom he is established? He means like the one who makes the sun rise and for one who makes the sun set. So where is he established? And a simple answer which is given by Yudhisthira He said, Brahma Adityam Unnayati Devastasyabhitaschara Dharmaschastam Nayati cha Satyecha Pratitishthati. He said, the Brahman or Brahma, it makes the sun rise. The gods keep him the company, and Dharma causes him to set, and he is established in truth. Satyecha Pratitishthati. Is it something which is asked for the first time? Is the answer given by Yudhisthira is something which is absolutely new and was never answered? Was this question never asked before? Now, if we contemplate, as we know, like the Itihasas, Puranas, the later Granthas, their extension of the realizations of the rishis recorded in the Vedas and Upanishads, Vedic Samhitas, and in the Upanishads, in various other texts. A similar question, again, if we look at Yama Savitri, Yama also raises certain questions to Savitri, and in answer to Yama's question, Savitri also replies something like this. So Savitri says, this is again in Vanaparva, and please remember that this Yaksha Prashna is the last part of Vanaparva or Aranyaka Parva of the Mahabharata. So Savitri says, Santo hi satyena nayanti suryam. Santo hi bhumim tapasa dharayanti. So he says that, look, Santa, it is the wise people, those who are well settled in the truth, those who have realized the truth. It is because of their Satya Pratishtha, their well settlement in the truth, which makes the sun rise, which makes the sun set. A similar kind of thing that we also get in Kathopanishad, where it says, Yataschoditi Suryo Astam Yatra Jagachati. So by whom or where the sun rises and where the sun sets. Tam deva sarve arpitas tadu natyeti kaschana etad vaitat. He says, this Brahman, the supreme reality, the supreme truth, what makes everything rise and what makes everything set, why sun alone? Even the gods, other non-material forces, wiser than the material beings, wiser than the wise ones, they can never cross him. They can never go ahead of it. It's always ahead. Like we find the similar experiences, similar descriptions in the other Upanishadic mantras, that no one can cross it, not a deity. So always it is in the front. And that supreme power, well settled in the truth, Satya Pratishtitam, is the cause of this creation, the manifestation of it, the maintenance of it, the dissolution of it. And that alone has the power to make everything move. And Satya Pratishtitam. And the point is that whatever stories, whatever answers, whatever wise words that we find in the Mahabharata, in the Ramayana, in the Puranas, they are in the seed form in the Veda, in the Upanishads. They're extension of those. And their interpretation of the same truth. Their interpretations without deviating from the truth or without manipulating it, without misrepresenting it in an exact manner, but in a different way, so then the people of the time could understand it. They make it relevant to the people of the time. So when we go through the same truth of the Veda, same truth of the Upanishad in the Mahabharata, and again we see that the major portion, the most prominent portion of the Mahabharata, the Gita, where the essence of Upanishad is captured. If we go through the Yaksha Prashna, the various questions and answers, and see those, and when we go through the teachings of the Gita, when we go through the teachings of various Gitas available in the Mahabharata, even sometimes you'll find various philosophical portions, deep wise words in the Ramayana, in the Puranas, we'll find the similar kind of questions and answers. But here in the Yaksha Prashna, it's a well thought out set of questions which makes us understand the tattva. If someone is a tattva anusandhani, a seeker of the truth, the seeker of the tattva, one can find a great grounding by diving deep into the answers given by Yudhisthira. So coming to, if we go through every question, every answer, so it will be a long session. Maybe sometimes the Hello My Yoga team can start a reading of Yaksha Prashna verse by verse. But I come to straight to the last question, where the answers are really beautiful, poetic. And one of the answers which is given, one of the questions which is given at the end, asked to Yudhishthira at the end, and the answer that is given by Yudhishthira to Yaksha to this question is what really captured the attention, not just attention, but one just keeps reflecting, and then one just keeps thinking about the reality of the world. And what is that question? So towards the end, Yaksha asks this question, that who is happy, and what is the most strange thing, and what's the path, and what's the news? I've already mentioned about Kavarta. Now dealing with the rest three questions. So he says, like, who is happy? Can anyone in the world be happy? But still we ask this question, are you happy? Or we give even some answer to it. But look at the answer given by Yudhishthira. So he says that, and today it is very much relevant because of many reasons, and we will understand it from the answer. So he says that he who at the fifth and sixth part of the day, towards when the sun is setting in the evening, eats his simple food of some vegetable with rice, taking care of the physical being, the sasthata. So one who takes care of one's own physical well-being. Then he says one who owes nothing as a debt and goes not to strange lands but stays at home is happy. Now we see the physical well-being, the emotional well-being, the mental well-being, and the core of the truth that one has to live. So he says one who stays at home. Literally, I mean, he says that one is not in strange lands, but stays at home. Very pertinent question, and literally, outwardly, someone can think that, oh, what kind of answer is this? That I have to stay at home all the times. What about my livelihood? Should I go to foreign lands or not? It's so impractical. But here is a deep spiritual answer which is given. Staying at home. In the Rig Veda, there's a beautiful phrase. It's called Swadhamma, one's own home. We consider a certain infrastructure that we have built for our living as our own home. That may be a home to rest our physical being, but that's not the true home. We all are guests here in this world. We all are guests. I remember a story. Once a foreigner, he came to India, hearing about a very rich spiritual master, and he had certain image of like how the master should be living. And when he came, he found no furniture, nothing. It's just a kutia, just a water pot and a torchlight, maybe something to kindle. And literally there is nothing. And then he was shocked. He asked this master, where are your furnitures? And the master said, where are yours? He said, but I am a guest. He said, do you think I am not? Every one of us, we are here as atithi, as a guest. The more we are attached to our belongings, thinking that they are ours, my home, my address. Look, it is clearly written on my Aadhaar card, this is what is my address. This is where I live. But that's not the true home. The true home is the Swadhamma. This mantra which says in Rig Veda, Vardhamanam Svedame, growing in one's own home. It is said about Agni, but that is true about every one of us. I 3-4 years before, I wrote a very simple poem in Sanskrit, just a one-liner. So it was like this, that Samayati yada prabhu bhavestvam sviya nilaye. It means, this is the poem. It means when God visits you, he must be at home. He must find you at home. When Yudhisthira is saying that one who doesn't go to a strange land and is always at home is a man truly happy. It doesn't refer to just being at home physically, not doing anything. When we are at our own home, and what is that Swadhamma? What is the own home? When we contemplate on the Vedic realizations, what the rishis had realized, Swadhamma, they refer to as Satyam, Ritam, Brihat. This is our true address. This true home of ours is built by Satyam, Ritam, and Brihat. Satyam is our existential truth, the static truth. I exist, you exist. Everything exists. This world exists. This is the truth, existential truth. No one can deny it. That is Satyam, the static existential truth. Ritam is the truth in action. This truth in action follows the dharma. Look in the Veda, you will not find the word dharma, very rarely. What is dharma? The word dharma so central to the Sanatana Dharma, so central to the Hindu darshan. But you do not find the prominent use or frequent use of the word dharma in the Veda, which is the foundation text of Sanatana Dharma. What you find is rhythm. This idea of rhythm has to be understood properly if anyone wants to understand the idea of dharma. Now, this rhythm, the truth in action, there is a rhythmic, universal rhythmic movement and order in this action. So, rhythm refers to movement, dynamism, rhythm, harmony, action. But following the law, the original law of the truth. Then you have the Brihat. Brihat is vast. In our ordinary life, we all live in a narrow state of consciousness, very narrow state of consciousness. That's why we don't see the vast. We don't see the larger picture of everything. That narrow state of consciousness creates a narrow worldview. That's what is called the Karpanya dosha in the Gita. Arjuna says that I'm so much affected by this narrowness that I don't see the reality. And I'm completely deluded in the matter of dharma and adharma. I don't see anything. Completely deluded. That's what happens when we become affected completely by the Karpanya dosha, the miserliness, the narrowness, the meanness of our consciousness, the dainya. So the purpose of our being in this earth, being born here, is to make ourselves free from this bondage of narrowness, limitations. We are bound by many limitations, limited by many limitations. As long as we are limited, we are pashu, bound. And from pashu, we have to become the divya. We have to manifest the divinity from within. So vast. So this is what is our true home. When we are away from Satya, when we are away from Rita, when we are away from the Brihat, we are away from our home. We are not under the control of ourselves. Sarvam paravasham dukkham, sarvam atmavasham sukham. So when we are completely in control of ours, when we are at home, in our own home, not in the strange lands. There's a beautiful story I heard from a person who was giving a talk on Bharatiya Jnana Parampara. His name is Professor Kapil Tiwari. So he said that, look, a child who is playing in a park was gone to the park with the mother, a little child. So he leaves the mother's hand and goes to that distance, only to that distance from which he can come back to the mother or see the mother. So we are allowed only to move away from him, ourselves only that much by which we can come back, by which we can see ourselves. If we go very far to the strange lands, we cannot find ourselves. And then we become paravasha, and it brings all kinds of unhappiness. So the answers, therefore, as I had mentioned, given by Yudhisthira, they are not simple answers. Outwardly, they may look that, oh, what it is. But inwardly, they carry the deep truths realized by the seers and sages of the past. many realizations, deep, profound, occult, spiritual realizations of the truth by the rishis. They are embedded in the answers of these questions. The next question, he says, Kim Ascharya. The very day-to-day experience, day-to-day experience. Just go back 2 years, what the world experienced. The first wave, the second wave, when it was intense. We all experience what is going on in this world. There was no hope of life. We thought that, this is going to be a great lesson. After this era, after COVID, maybe a lot of things will bring some good change. Has the world changed? Has our attitude towards life, towards others, towards the world, towards ourselves, has it changed? No. Rather, we see many worst things happening. What has happened to the human consciousness? What has happened to its attitude? So but what it thought during that time maybe was very temporary. Somehow, if I can remain alive. So he says, Kim Ascharya, what's the most strange thing in this world? And I don't think in any civilization, in any culture, such a profound answer is given to this question. Such a practical answer given to this question. He says, Yudhisthira says, Ahani ahani bhutani gacchanti yama mandiram. Sheshasthavaram icchanti kimascharya madaparam. He says, Ahani ahani bhutani, right in front of our eyes, moment to moment, day by day, day after day. We see people are dying in front of us, going to the cremation ground. In front of us, we go to the cremation ground and then perform the last rituals of the people. At least, and Tantra describes this whole world as the Mahashmashana, the great cemetery. Mahashmashana, where everyone is dying every moment. Even there is a question also, like who is that person while breathing is dead. It's not that when the last breath is gone we are dead. The death appears to us in many forms. While living we die so many times. It's not merely breathing is life, but what do we do with every breath matters a lot. So he says, Ahani ahani bhutani gacchanti yama mandiram. Every day, all the beings are departing. Gacchanti yama mandiram. They go to the abode of Yama. But Shesha, all those who are left behind, all those who are alive, what is their attitude? Yudhisthira says, Sheshas thavaram icchanti. Those who are left out, they think, who can do what to me? I am invincible. I am indispensable. Is it not a very practical experience for every one of us? We do experience it on a daily basis. That how, like people think that I am indispensable. What will happen to the world if I am not there? It's because of me things are happening. It's not a problem only with the human beings. Even the problem exists with the gods also. The same, thought of I am indispensable. Things happen because of me. Even after seeing the, the Karala Rupa of Kala, the most dangerous form of Mahakala, seeing before our eyes, we think that we are indispensable, or the one who thinks that he is indispensable. What can be the most strange thing than this? This is what Yudhisthira represents. Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti yamamandira sheshas thavaram icchanti. Then nothing will happen to me. Who can kill me? I am invincible. I am indispensable. This very thought is strange, is the wondrous thing, Ascharya. And this answer itself shows us the reality of the world, the reality of many faces, what we experience in this world on a moment-to-moment basis. Then there is a third question where he says that what is the path? Look at what pertinent questions. What is our own home? Or what does it mean to be happy? Who is happy? And what is the path? What is the most strange thing? It says, what is the path? Now we see, again you connect with the Vedic realizations. The Veda, when we scan through the mantras very minutely, we will see the realization of the Vedic rishis. The first realization is that there is something higher, a world higher than this world in which we live. The truth that we experience here or we express here, there is a greater truth than this. The light that helps us seeing each other, there is a greater light, there is a greater delight. There's something beyond, there is something higher than what we experience here in this world. This is the first experience, the first realization, you can say. The second realization is that if there is something higher, then man must find a path to reach that higher world. Man must make sincere effort to find the path to reach to that higher worlds of light, delight, and truth. So here, Yaksha asks, what is the path? What is the way? What is the true path? Which road to take? Which path to take? Is there a single path? No. If there was a single path, or even the possibility of a single path, then the world would have been happier than this. There would have been easy solutions for everything, because one has to walk only one path. There's no single path. So this is where he says, the answer he gives, Tarke apratishta shrutayo vivinna naika rishir yasya matam pramanam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gata sapantha. So what it says? It says that there's no end to debates. Tarka apratishta. There's no single debate where you can say, okay, this debate has happened. Now the matter is sorted out. Then after this, no one is going to open mouth about it. Does it happen that way? No. Tarko apratishta. Shrutayo vivinna. Even the Shrutis, what we understand as the greatest of the Shastras, Shrutayo vivinna. Even the Shruti also differ. And the Rishayo, Naiku Rishir Yasya Matam Pramana. There's no single Rishi who said that, okay, follow this Rishi and all solutions are here. No. You see the Rishis of the past, Rishis of the present, many masters, many spiritual masters, and the number keeps increasing. It's bound to increase. And it's not just one rishi says something and that itself is the pramana. No, it's not possible. That there has to be even Krishna comes as an avatar. Even his words also are not the only pramana. Rama comes as an avatar is not only pramana. Buddha comes as an avatar, not only pramana. So Rishi Mata is not the pramana. The dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhaya. It's extremely difficult to understand what dharma is. If it was truly easy, that many people say, oh, he's, like adharmic. Many people follow the adharmic way. I know what dharma is. Others do not know at all. This is a meanness. No one really knows what dharma is unless and until one is truly well settled in dharma. So Krishna himself says in the Gita that, Gahana karmanugati. No one knows. If you don't know what is karma, what is akarma, you don't know what is dharma, what is adharma. The real karma has to be in dharma. What follows adharma is the akarma. So gahana karmanugati, gahana dharma gati, nihitam guhayam, it's deeply secret. Somewhere it is secret. Very mysterious is the way of dharma, way of karma. It's not easy to find. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam, guhahitam. It is secret. It's deeply hidden somewhere. It needs to be recovered. How? How do we know? He says, Mahajano yena gata sapanta. The path which has been taken by the great realized people who have taken the path and have become realized. So that is the path. That's why in Kathopanishad you find that Uttishtata, Jagrata, Prapya Varan Nibodhata. He says, rise, awake, and find out those great ones, the realized ones, and understand from them what is the path. Mahajano yena gata sapanta. This Mahajana or the Vara, Vara means the Sreshta, the noble ones, the realized ones, the high-spirited ones, the high-potential ones, who have realized the truth. The path that they have trodden, the path that they have walked, that is the true path. So this is how Yudhisthira answers to all the questions of Yaksha, and then still the test is not yet over. Yaksha is very happy. He says, you have answered all my questions. Now choose one of the brothers whom you want to see alive. In every possible manner, Yaksha puts him into the test to verify that he is well settled in dharma. He has never deviated from the path of dharma. Then only he is called Dharmaraja. And he doesn't take a pause. Yudhisthira doesn't take a pause or thinks about it. He doesn't say, okay, give me some time, let me think which brother, and then I'll get back to you in a while. No, he doesn't say. Spontaneous, immediate. He said that let Nakula be alive. Then Yaksha doesn't merely bring Nakula to life. He asks this question, why Nakula? Why not Bhima? Why not Arjuna? Because you need those brothers. Because Bhima Arjuna Samayuti, no one can, stand before Bhima and Arjuna. And without, leaving these two brothers, Bhima and Arjuna, you were choosing Nakula. Why? He's clear. Yudhishthira is clear. He says, look, Dharma Rakshite Rakshita. If Dharma is protected, Dharma will protect us. How can I deviate from the path of Dharma? Dharma eva hato hanti. If Dharma is killed, Dharma will kill. So, being a follower of Dharma, how can I think of something other than what I have proposed? He says, my father had two wives, Kunti and Madri. And one of the sons of Kunti, me, myself, is alive. And let one of the sons of Madri be alive. Who could give such a spontaneous answer? The brothers. And he never made a difference between his own brother, Bhima and Arjuna, and Nakula and Sahadeva. They were all Sahodara to him. And what it meant to have a Sahodara beside one. I mean, we see when Lakshmana was almost dying, Rama gave there is a beautiful verse in Ramayana which says, Deshe Deshe Kalatrani, Deshe Deshe Chavandava. But I don't see that land where Yatra Bhrata Sahodara, where you have a, Saga Bhai with you, standing with you, or someone who is like that. So when it comes to the question of brothers, which brother, it's a very difficult question. He is not Sahodara. Nakula is not Sahodara, but is treated as Sahodara, equally treated as Sahodara by Yudhisthira. Then Yaksha was truly happy and revealed itself to be the Dharma, the father. And Yudhisthira is not someone else, but the very embodiment of Dharma and very child of Dharma. It's actually a dialogue between Dharma and Dharma. The Pita Dharma and Putra Dharma. Both are Dharma. Dharma asks a question and Dharma answers the question. And the outcome of this question and answer between Dharma and Dharma is nothing but Dharma. So in every answer, you will find Dharma at the center. So this is what is Yaksha Prashna. Whatever little I have understood it, I shared my thoughts. If there are questions, I will answer to it. Once again, Dhanyavad to all of you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions? So we have a message from Bappa. Do you have some questions, sir?
Yes, hi sir. Just one quick question. If one wants to study the Yaksha Prashna, any particular author you would like to recommend?
Long back, I think there's a book published by Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. Its title is Yaksha Prashna. If you can find that book, that's a really good book. And there is also a book on Mahabharata, which is my favorite book. I've read many books on Mahabharata, but one of my favorite books on the Mahabharata is titled as The Lore of the Mahabharata by Amalesh Bhattacharya. One of the fantastic book on Mahabharata, very authentic. And there is a whole chapter on Yaksha Prashna. That's also is another recommendation.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so we have another question from iPhone. When Yudhishthir is the embodiment of Dharma, what is the reason he was unable to make the right choices during the game of dice?
Yeah, again, as I said, or as it is said in the Shastra, even uh, we say when Rama himself was embodiment of Dharma, Krishna himself was embodiment of Dharma. They also had to face challenges in life. They also had to perform something. Why was Rama deluded by the Hemamruga, the golden deer? He was embodiment of Dharma. He was an avatar. He could understand that. But he fell into the trap of that. And there are so many occasions. Even though one is embodiment of Dharma, as like Dharmasya Tattvam Nihitam Guhaya, it's so deep and dense and so secret and mysterious that very difficult to understand why a certain event happened or why someone had to take a decision in a particular way and why not the other way. We think it from our angle, but during that moment, what must have happened to Yudhishthira, we don't know. Still, answers have to be found out. But it's not that easy to say what is dharma, what is adharma. It's all exploration. We need to keep exploring. But if we see the signs and symptoms and the answers and the sthairya and the dhairya of Yudhishthira is none other than the embodiment of dharma. Whatever is described as dharma, one is to find those qualities. And that can be like one aspect of his life, one incident of his life. But what about the greater part of his life? What about the greater part of someone? And that's what happens. Someone asked a question. A child asked a question to a spiritual master that, like we know that negative things are not good, but why the negative things keep again and again coming to us? Because we are surrounded by so many things. There's a universal force, cosmic force, which is also working. We cannot always avoid things, even though we know that it is adharma or it is dharma. Everyone is affected by this, and especially when we are in this world of mortality, in this mortal world, mundane world, we are all affected by this. And that's what, again, like when um, Yaksha is asking him that ask the boons. What kind of boons? Look at the boons asked by Nachiketa. And look at here also, like the boons asked by Yudhishthira. So the first boon, he says, he didn't, Dharma is right in front of him, very much pleased with him. Whatever boon he asks will be fulfilled. But the first, he never forgot the Dharma here. He says there is a Brahmin who is waiting for his ritual to be performed. His aranis have to be returned to him. This is the first boon he asks, that please see that he finds his arani. Now the Yaksha says that I was that Mruga who was carrying that arani just to bring you all here, just to make this incident happen. Then he's getting back. And then again, like he say that uh, what is the second boon that he is asking, that uh, so Yudhishthira says that this is the end of the 12th year, and from tomorrow we are going to uh, go for the 13th year, which is the Ajnatavasa. So during this Ajnatavasa, so I plead you, I ask you this boon. So let no one recognize us. Let no one recognize us. This is the blessing that you give to us. And then he asks that, like another boon, the third boon. And what is the boon he is asking for? So he says, let my mind be well stabilized in dana, in tapasya and satya. He says this, that this is the boon that I ask for, nothing else. But I must be in a position of conquering lobha, moha, and krodha. Lobha, moha, and krodha, I must be able to conquer these three. Because these three, as the Gita says, narakasya dwaram. It is the doorway, it is the pathway, or it is the gate to the naraka. So these three, I may be in a position to conquer. And may my mind be always intent on dana, tapas, and satyam. So what else can be expected from someone who is truly the embodiment of dharma? Even the Yaksha also says that if you had not asked these boons also, these are the natural part of your character. Then also like you will be. Still he is asking this, so then it becomes well settled, well established by the blessings of the dharma. So that's how makes Yudhisthira as the Dharma Raja. Yeah, what is the dharma of ours during the present time? The very first dharma, as I have understood from the writings of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, or the teachings of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, the first dharma of ours is to become conscious of ourselves. We all live a very mechanical, robotic life. We breathe mechanically, we eat mechanically. There's not much awareness in us. And that awareness will, make it clear before us what is the true purpose of life. Most of us, like you ask this question, what is the true purpose of life? Many people will not be in a position to answer this question because they have never thought about it. So living a meaningless, purposeless life, the first dharma is to become conscious of ourselves, to become conscious of the very purpose of life. And then the organized life's activities around that clear purpose or that clear sankalpa of moving and fulfilling the true purpose of life. If that much is put into practice, that little bit thing can save us from many dangers, many challenges of life. So that's what the Gita says, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little bit of practice of this teaching. Yeah, how do we find exactly the purpose of life? That's by being aware of ourselves. The more and more we grow aware of ourselves, conscious of ourselves, so more the purpose of life becomes clear before us. As we play many roles in our life on daily basis, so every role have different dharma, and it's just one. Can there be two dharma? Yes, see, playing the many roles is fine. Like one has to follow, and but the dharma, the satya has to be at the center. It's like we are tied to one thing, one satya, that's the supreme satya, and then performing in it has to be in alignment. Whatever we do, it has to be in alignment with the dharma. And what is that dharma? It's like if you go to the Gita, the way it is explained, in such a simple manner. Go to, say, for example, the Daivasura Sampada Vibhaga Yoga, and go to many other texts. What brings harmony, what brings perfection, what brings peace, what brings joy, what brings purity, what brings ananda is dharma. And what creates disharmony, what creates, pain, what creates all kinds of negative things is not in alignment with dharma, is adharma. So, how do I know that whether I am on the path of dharma or not? For me, this is simple, that whatever I do, it doesn't harm others. It doesn't create a disharmony in the community. It doesn't create disharmony in me. It doesn't bring any kind of problem in the world. I'm not a burden on the world, earth. I'm not a burden to anyone. I'm not a problem to others. If I can look at these aspects in life, then I know that I am following the path of Dharma. I am doing good to the world. And a simple word, simple phrase, which is doing good to all, not just the human beings, everything that exists on the earth. What is the first step to become aware of ourselves? And how do we go about it? I mean, I don't know what will be the exact answer to it. But the answer again will be like the first step itself is to become conscious of ourselves. So, how do we know that whether we are conscious of ourselves or not? Look, I have asked this question to many people. Just tell me, are you breathing? Many people check and then say that, yes, I am breathing. So, this very fact shows that we are not in a position, not in a state where we know even that the breathing is happening or not. Ask people what the exact thought going on in your mind. You will find rarely people can describe the exact thought happening in the mind. What's happening in ourselves? We don't know. So this being the situation, like if you want to practice it, just become aware of the breath, observe your breath, observe. And there are various ways how we do it. Observing things is a step towards being aware. Just observe your breath, nothing else. Breathing in and breathing out. Whether your breath is passing through the left nostril or right nostril or both, you are breathing. What is the speed of your breath? Or you can even slow down the breath and observe it. Just see that you are breathing. Clearly see your breath. There is a Chinese proverb which says that the person lives long who can breathe till the toe. You see that you are throwing your breath, it is reaching your toe. You can see your breath. If you can see your breath, that itself is the first step towards being aware of yourself. Observe your breath, observe your mind, watch over what is happening. Try to control and then try to have mastery. See what's happening within yourself. So that's the way how to become aware of oneself. If one had to ask a single question in order to get the gist of Yaksha Prashna as the answer, then what will be the question? Yeah, just ask what is my true home? Where from I have come and then where from I have to go. Yeah, it's true, like the dharma, when we are talking about dharma, the three things we have to keep in mind: sthana, kala, and patra. The dharma can be different from place to place, person to person, time to time. But these are all temporal dharma. Beyond this, there is a universal dharma which is applicable in all ages, applicable to all people, and applicable in all places. So the Shastras, you have more of the universal dharma and less of the temporal dharma. And Shastras cannot entirely get rid of the temporal dharma. They have to be, because it uh, it takes place in a particular time. It happens by a particular set of minds, and it happens at a particular place. So the Shastra has to include everything, but the nature of dharma will keep changing from place to place, from person to person, from time to time. What was dharma 20 years before, today it is adharma, or what was considered as adharma is today dharma. And when we are saying like, okay, 5,000 years before, 10,000 years before, when Ramayana happened, Mahabharata happened, these were the things which were not right, these were the things which are right. We forget about like what we are doing today. So how are we going to be valued and judged after 5,000 years, 1,000 years? That evolved consciousness after so many thousand years, we will see that, okay, these, what kind of life these people lived. They were educated and they were behaving like this. So we are creating history for ourselves. So the nature of dharma will keep changing. So we have to keep in mind the sthana, kala, and patra. Can a finite self understand the intention of infinite existence of not organic? Yeah, it's true that Satchidananda is really vast. But ultimately, one has to realize one's own Satchidananda Swarupa. And for that, it is not necessary that we have to wait that when we become Satchidananda and absolutely pure, then only we will realize Satchidananda. If you look at what are the qualities of that infinite consciousness, so they are potentially or essentially within our consciousness. So these different qualities, so for example, speaking the truth, following the right path, doing good to all, these are the qualities of Satchidananda. And at our level, the time frame in which we are living, the place where we are living, so how much we can work out the dharma to the best of our capacity. So that itself is our test. How do we, being in this finite world, how do we manifest that infinite? So that's where is our role. It's not that like one has to become. That being my essential nature, there is all possibility of manifesting that within ourselves. If that was not the case, then there is no purpose in life.